In LA, so I didn't want people to think that LA wasn't special in any way, because in fact it was LA that was a real, like, the birthplace. There was parties here in '88 and '89. It took another couple of years or so for that to happen. And you know, it's fucking nerve-wracking having people watch the film while I'm up in the back there to see how people respond to it, but people all seem to respond well to it, so I feel relieved and thankful. Anyone else got a question? You're going to do a follow-up on LA? I'd like to. A few people have said that it would be a fascinating journey for me. It would be a little different because I personally knew pretty much everyone that I interviewed there, and yourself, Mark, and many of you here I know, but there's a lot of people I don't know in LA. So for me personally, it would be fascinating to do one for LA. Because when there wasn't a lot going on in San Fran, we used to come down here, and remember that Truth, I think it was like, that place was fucking insane, you know, and it was just coming to LA. If you live here, it's a little different, but coming to LA for a few days, it's just phenomenal to come here. So try and capture that energy that I don't know obviously as much about, since I was a rave promoter in San Francisco. It would be quite a journey. Question over here.
Is the soundtrack available?
Not yet. Not yet. That was a fucking nightmare. It is trying to, like, some of these people, they made a track and they never made a track again, or they made 2 tracks and then disbanded, and it was before the internet, right? So it's like no one had email, no one had cell phone numbers, and so trying to find these people was worth it.
Okay, so the interviews are 2010, 2011.
So I'm just wondering about the timeline. The interviews were 2010, 2011. I'm curious how much of the footage had you unearthed prior to the interviews, how much came after the interviews, and at what point did you have to sort of cut off the archival footage that was undoubtedly coming out of storage spaces and people's parents' garages, etc.?
There was no real cut-off point. In fact, the archival footage was keeping it positive, was the thing that really sent the film sideways. We'd finished the film at the end of 2011. I mean, right about fucking today, in 2011, we finished the film. And then this one person, who will remain unnamed, had a treasure trove, because literally everyone that had their parents' camcorder, they're off their tits, right? They're fucking jumping up and down, and like, there's no such thing as steady footage or people paying attention to lighting in any way whatsoever. So you get miles and miles and miles of footage, but you'd only be able to use that much. So this guy was a filmmaker, had a steady hand, and the first cut was full of his stuff, and then he pulled it. And so then we had to, like you said, find people's treasure troves and basements, and that took years to find that, like, steady replacement for every now and again. We'd get a little treasure trove and stick it into the film, and so there was no real cut-off point. I think the cut-off point was maybe, we did a screening in San Francisco in 2016, and I think at that stage we had pretty much found all of the footage we needed. There was still some people, one guy had like 200 hours of steady hand footage, but he kept telling us he would get it to us, and he just never did. So, and that was one of the biggest challenges. And then the music was another challenge. There was the first cut was full of pretty much the same tracks for the most part. Maybe there's 41 tracks in the film, and there's about a third of them we couldn't use. So then we had to find the replacement tracks. That's where there's a few different people on the music supervision to try and get those tracks replaced to fit Vienna's initial mix was phenomenal, but then the editor, Robbie Proctor, is fucking genius. And one of the things he's really, really good at is matching video to music. So it's not just you could just replace any track, whether you could find it or not. You have to find a track that actually matched, heartfelt the visual that you were seeing. So they were some of the things that like really like delayed the film. Plus, but you know, it's worth it. It's out there now for the world, and yeah. So that was a long fucking answer. So.
You went on to the medical marijuana thing, right? You pioneered in that area too. How did your experience for these parties and that community, how did it ultimately connect the dots to that next transition?
Rave taught me to be fucking fearless, man. Fearless. And so when we opened up a dispensary, we were one of the first dispensaries, and it's closed now, sadly, but we ran it for 23 years. We were the longest running dispensary on the planet for a long time. And you know, I had all this experience with the cops. So the first time the cops showed up at the dispensary, I was like, you know, like a swan. He looks real graceful on the outside, but the legs are going like fuck underneath. And that was me. I was shitting on the inside, but I was trying to like maintain a positive face. And it was Berkeley, so I told the cops we were doing medical marijuana for $2.15, and it was that same attitude I had to try and keep the cops at bay at a rave, and it really helped us. It really helped us face the DEA and face whatever else we needed to face. It's like rave's changed my life. Like me dancing on the floor, taking ecstasy for, like Ethan Miller said, for dancing for 6, 7, or 8 hours. You discover who you are. I discovered my inner strength as a raver. I'm quite proud to be a raver. Any other questions?
Did you ever get there?
I never got taken away in handcuffs, but
Thanks a lot. Oh, sorry.
I got a couple of fines. Basically, I had to go to court, and I used it as to stand up and give my political speech about how raves were positive. The judge looked at me and he went, "Oh, okay then. $90 fine. Have a good day." It's like, that happened twice. I know no one's asked this question, but I think it's kind of important. It's like, there was that, we've mentioned a few times in the film, about that leftover energy from the hippies, and there's still leftover energy. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Home Base in Oakland. That got burned down. Now it's a proper, like, not like a tents with tarps. It's a proper homeless, like, camp, like, with food and everything else. It's like that energy that we created is still there, and then the one where I'm in the car outside the warehouse, that became a recycling centre. So it's like, it really is like the drops into the middle of the lake or whatever, and it's still vibrating today.
I wanted to ask you, about halfway through the film, you referred to a first trip to England and taking a while to find what you were looking for, or what the people there were looking for. Do you recall where that was? Was it a particular city or a particular club?
That wasn't me, that was a guy called Joe Haller, but I don't know the answer to that question. I would presume it was somewhere outside London, because that's where a lot of people used to gather in King's Cross, and in carpool in mass out to the country, where, you know, the cops hadn't got a clue what was going on before the internet, thankfully. Over here. Yeah.
Was it a licensing issue that you couldn't use the original footage that you first started the documentary with?
Yeah, we had an email exchange, but with the guy agreeing to give us the archival treasure trove, but it wasn't strong enough. Like, we just released on what's called TVOD, which is television on demand. It's on Apple and Amazon and Microsoft and all kinds of places. But right now, our distribution company is trying to make a deal for us called SVOD. It's subscription video on demand, like Netflix and Prime, Max, HBO, that kind of thing. And they're real, you have to have every thing buttoned up, or they're not going to take you. So we knew that going in, so we had to do as I explained earlier, like not use that footage and spend many years to get footage. We have a folder this thick of art sign-offs, photograph sign-offs, video sign-offs.
Great job.
I'm just got educated by 1,000% on the Rave movement, and I'm kind of curious about where it's at today, and is the future of Rave everlasting, or is it something that's changed? I know it's now more commercial. You have to pay to get to the raves, and there's a lot of money-making things going on inside them. Because I talked to people that participated, but they're still underground, right?
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, there's a very healthy underground scene in LA right now. Yeah, that's from what I understand. There is, like a friend of mine, the guy Brian Bellenbach, who started SF Raves, he went to rave in East Bay in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, and you had to bring a hard hat and a flashlight because you had to walk 2 fucking miles through a tunnel to get some fucking, excuse my language, somewhere that like there was a rave. So there's no chance the cop's gonna walk 2 miles down a tunnel, right? So, and then from a commercial perspective, and for the money thing, I mean, money was important back then. We always lost it. Everyone thought we were living by it. Fucking taking pills all day, fucking swimming pools full of girls or whatever, but like that wasn't the fucking case. And then today it's just different. I mean, there was I think it's his name, Everything Fred, am I getting that name right? Yeah. Fred again, yeah, thanks. This guy, he played in San Fran for like a hippie promoter that now does all kinds of stuff. He got 100 grand to play free, 25,000 people. So it's like, house is the pop music of today. A lot of pop is 4 to the floor, and if it's not, it's like you listen to a house music, or a lot of pop stations on a Friday night or Saturday night, you'll hear the house mix. There's no fucking commercials. It's all mixed. They might announce something in between. So it's like Sabrina Carpenter and all these pop stars, they release house tracks. Like, if you know who Honey Dijon is, she just made, I think, like 2 or 3, she produced 2 or 3 tracks for Beyonce's new album. So it's just, it's the thing to do these days, it's like, it is what it is. It's like, it may be commercial. It's like, I think one of the big differences is that you probably heard a few times in the film, like that people thought it was kind of a secret type thing. I mean, I've been on Facebook, right? But like, I'm new to Instagram, and on Instagram it's fucking endless people there, and it's their whole life. Their whole identity is being a raver, going to festivals, rave person, this EDM person, that. So it's like it's taken on a whole new identity. It's a kind of taken over the world, like to a certain extent, like that. The people that helped us promote this Insomniac, we're very thankful to them. The Academy, where obviously you're all welcome to come and you'll all get into the party later on. If you're on the guest list, and you'll get into the party for free. They have a 400,000 person email list, and like Apple is the only, I'm looking at it every day, the charts, the documentary charts. Apple is the only one where you can see like how you do, and we were in top 10, top 20 for like 3 weeks or something like that, and you can slip down it pretty quick, I was pissed off that we'd slip down to like number 72. I wasn't happy, but like, as soon as the first email went out from Insomniac, we jumped to number 9, so it's like, and they're doing, the point being is that they're doing an EDC, Electric Daisy Carnival in Mexico City, I think, for the second time. They're doing one in Thailand this year, they're doing one in Korea this coming year. They're doing one in Brazil. So it just goes to show that like it's the thing to do. It's like in South America, it's like, when I was at Canvas Farm, you'd have a load of people come from South America, strimmers, for a few months. Every single one of them, like, listen to rave, whether it's techno or house or whatever. So it's the thing to do.
Yeah, my 17-year-old son went to that Fred Again concert.
Yeah, I mean, even Stanford University, they've got an auditorium that holds about 8,000 people. They do raves now. You know, it's just not repeating myself a bit, but it's I think great question. But yeah,
Okay, do we have a couple more questions?
How much were those initial shows that you guys did that covered, not the club, but like not the beach party? What was the, how much did they cost?
so the cost to put on
No, well, that and also the cover for the,
$20. How the fuck are we supposed to make any money to yeah, I tell you. I remember the first time someone brought, it was just like, it was the biggest lineup ever, so I was running from room to room, and they charged $30 and there was a fucking uproar about it. You know, like people charging $30, it was like, and then to put on, I don't know, it just got more and more expensive as you went on. I opened up home base in '95 to everyone's surprise, and we got the city to cooperate, and the cops were like, I have no idea how you did this, but you're getting microphone, there you go. So they said you have to pay for, I think it was 4 cops and a sergeant. It was like $2,200. And then 4 years later, I did the gathering there. The 9-year anniversary was closed out home base. There was 10,000 people there, and it cost me $32,000 for the cops. You know, so the more the perception is that the more the space will charge it, the more the cops will charge it. Like, it was never really I had a good life, but it was definitely never a money-making endeavor.
Throughout the movie, you described that there's the optimism of from the beatniks to the hippies, and there's a carryover. And so for the younger generations, and for now, what's the carryover you think of our era of the 90s San Francisco scene?
I think it's still going, it's still blooming. It's like, it's the longest carryover ever. It really fucking is, you know, it's like the longest carryover ever. Hippies lasted a certain amount of time, the beats lasted a certain amount of time. It's like house music, techno, rave, it's what, 35 years now or something, and it's still going, and it's still, there's desire for it and hunger for it. The world is kind of fucked up, you know, and people need to get in touch with themselves and feel empowered and embrace the differences and the changes and the commonality, as someone said it in the film. So it's like, it's unstoppable, really, at the end of the day.
So I'm curious about.
How many questions are you going to ask?
Well, I'll tell you, this is my second question. I happen to know that there was a Toontown in LA in 1991.
Yeah.
And a Wicked that I think was 93. And you wouldn't know it from the film that there was sort of an active exporting of San Francisco parties to other places. Maybe those were just blips, but was that a decision not to include that in the movie?
Well, it's like, I think that's the story of LA, really, is like to be told in an LA documentary of like what happened. I came down to that party, it was fucking mind-blowing, that party, you know, it was like, could have been a lot bigger, and the fire marshal, fucking fire marshal.
Which one?
The Toontown one. Yeah.
That was my first part.
Yeah, that was one of my first parties. We got on a plane last minute, flew down here. There's a guy, you hear Paul Rogan? Yeah, Paul Rogan picked us up at the airport, threw some weed down my neck. He did, like, literally, like, fucking shoved it down my neck. And then we went to Toontown, and Tony, like, who played The Gathering forever, I met him in line. It was just a super impactful thing. There was a party down here called Dream. It was an LA party, but they kind of, they had the wicked DJs for the most part, you know, at least for a while anyway. So there was no intention to leave that out. It was like, you could make three documentaries. Home Base itself, there should be a documentary about Home Base. It might be an hour and a half, but you know, it's like, and someone should do one about the scene. Like, there's something coming out about Insomniac. I spoke to Pascal about it, but I don't know where that's at.
And just to be clear, I just meant the fact that you were actually exporting it. That you didn't cover that, you wouldn't know it from the movie that there were individuals that we saw on screen that were actually taking it outside.
think it's like, I think people come to LA or people come to San Francisco, like, and they come to college or come to live for a while or come to make a film or be a model or whatever it is, and then they go back around the world, you know, and that's how the scene like helped to populate. Really, it's like there's people in Japan that used to do that. There's a gathering. There used to be a gathering in Sweden. It's just really, I think the biggest thing that was exported out of it wasn't just San Francisco. It was the West Coast. It was the West Coast sound. That took a long time for that to happen. Like Paul's label, Tony's label, Tango Recordings, like the Hardkiss label, Siesta, Doc Martin's label, In Stereo, Dan's label, and I'm probably missing a whole bunch of them, obviously. Greyhound, Gart's record label. Those things, like, that sound was exported all over the world, you know, from 98 to probably 2004 or something like that. I think that was the music that was amalgamated and created and crafted, and then that's what expanded around the world to it for the most impact, I think. No more questions at all? No. Sorry? There were several points. Fucking several.
We're gonna do some more.
Yeah, I might bring back the gathering. I've still got an offer to bring back the gathering for 20 to 50,000 people. It's a bit scary, but.
How did you do that with Pasquale? How did you think that with his son?
It's a good fucking question. I was looking for money for my cannabis world. And then I just got to know him and I like him. And yeah, that's how that happened. And he saw the movie and he was impressed that I made the movie, and he couldn't believe that I opened up home base. And we've become kind of friends since then.
I just want to say that I was at almost every one of those parties. I've lived in LA for over 20 years, so I'm so grateful that you made this movie and that you brought it down to LA. And I've always been disappointed whenever I've seen anything about raving or house parties or underground parties in digital media, in film, anywhere. It just hasn't captured it. And you did it, Martin. You did it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a journey back in time for sure. It's like the next test now is we'll get the numbers, the real numbers. Like Apple, we can be on the charts all we want, but we don't know how many people actually are watching the film. Distribution company or press, they want to take us internationally. But the next test now is how the general public feels about the film. It's great that we can watch it, it's great that this gentleman here learned a lot about Rave, but that's my next big thing, is like, how will the general public feel about the film? Will it actually challenge the misperceptions of people have of our community? You know? So you're most welcome. I guess I'm going to end it on this. I saw this documentary last night about the mind of the dog. Anyone seen that? That's on Netflix. I love dogs. It's pretty fucking fascinating. And there's a bit in there that stuck with me, and I'll leave you all with this. It's like that. It's a lot of the term is like the survival of the strongest. It's not. It's the survival of the friendliest. You know, and that's what ravers are. We're friendly people, we take our positivity and our love out to the world, and just be kind. Be kind.
That's right.